there's a big comeback across the world, and that is people are taking discarded food and they're making it new again. How can you do that, and how can you live on discarded food? This is the episode in Homestead, Tessie. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my canning pantry. Today we're going to talk a little bit about living on discarded food. Every month I showcase what the month was for the discarded food truck delivery. Now, I know there are some new people on my channel, so I'm just going to take 1 minute to share with you exactly what that is. About 6 years ago, there was a bunch of Amish farmers who would sell their produce at the produce auction here in eastern Pennsylvania. What they discovered was that a lot of the produce was not being sold and was being thrown away. They were disheartened over that. They didn't know what they could do to keep this food from being thrown away. Thus, they started a community effort, and it has become a multi-level, multi-million-dollar operation. All of it is proceeds to help people. So it is a nonprofit organization, but it started with a bunch of Amish farmers who, in their garage, took this produce that was going to be thrown away and decided they were going to hand it out to people. This is not for people on welfare. This is not for people with any kind of restricted income. This is for everyone in the Lancaster County and Dauphin County areas. And they have it all throughout Pennsylvania, and they're starting to merge into other states. Once a month, they have a tractor-trailer truck, which the church will pay for. So it costs $450 every month. They pay for the truck to bring all of this food. And that helps cover the proceeds, of the gas and, everything to run their operation for nonprofit. I became deeply involved with this about 2.5, maybe 3 years now. It's been quite a while. And on my YouTube channel, I've been sharing the ministry, and lots of people that live near me see me every month, and they are gleaning food from this opportunity. So what happens after the church is done with once a month? There's food still left over. That does not go back to the warehouse. Then that food, sadly, has to be discarded in one way or another. So once the truck comes to the location, people come and take the food that they want. People leave. There's always still something left over. And the farmer that's local to us will take up the food for free, most of it. But if it's in tin cans or if it's in certain other things like this, the farmer can't take this. So if we have lettuce or we have tomatoes in packaging at the end of the food drive, whatever's left, we have to take out of the packaging, and then we have to discard the packaging in the dumpster, and then that food will go to the farmer in big barrels. So there's really a science and a method and an organization to everything that we do. I'm sitting in this pantry today for the first part of this video. The second part, I'm going to show you what we got, is simply to show you what I do with the food that is left over. And let me tell you what, I only take this much that's still left and has to ultimately be disposed of. So we have things like this that are past expiration. In the society that we're living in today is so different than the society 10, 15 years ago. Discarded food or expired food now is becoming the normal thing for people to use and to eat and to be blessed by. Back in the 80s and 90s, food like that was freely discarded, and nobody even thought a second thought about grocery stores and, things that are being thrown away. But because of the society that we're living in today, because of the expense of food, we're starting to see a new trend, and that is people are not looking at the date and saying, oh, it's a day past the date, we have to throw it away. In fact, the government now is issuing all these different rules and regulations saying, don't go by the date, go by other ways. And so you have the smell factor of it. You also have common sense. It tells you that a date is just something they stamp on the bottom for production. It's not really a go-by date in most cases. Now, when it comes to dairy and it comes to food like that, of course, then you have to somewhat take a look at the date and then figure out from there. But food like this can live 2, 3, 4 years past expiration date. Most of the food at the food truck, I call it the food truck because it's a truck with food in it, and we freely give it out by the ton. And it is absolutely amazing, amazing community effort, and I am so blessed to be part of it. But most of the food is produce. And produce, sadly, doesn't live very long on the shelf, and produce, especially organic produce, is extremely expensive. And then when it gets past its prime, a lot of the stores used to, about 3 years ago, they used to donate that. Now what we're starting to see is stores are actually putting a discount price on their items, and then they're trying to sell them for whatever they can get it for. And so you aren't seeing as much of food banks getting produce and other food because the stores are trying to make as much money as they possibly can with the food. So if it's past expiration date, most stores will have a shelf and they will try to sell it on their own. But then you have produce that I get once a month that is just okay yet, but in 2 or 3 days it would be spoiled. What do you do with that? I'm teaching people at the food truck pantry, our outreach, that there's things you can do, because a lot of people will go down through the line and say, oh, those peppers are wrinkly, they won't last long, which is true. They wouldn't last long. They wouldn't last more than a couple days. But I'm telling them, cut them up and freeze them. Oh, I never thought of that. There's a lot of people that didn't grow up in home economics. There's a lot of people that didn't grow up with mothers that were very frugal, and my mother was an extremely frugal woman, and that is just was deeply embedded in her through her frugal family that were Mennonite, just through her lifestyle. So my mom always taught me when things were starting to look like they're going bad, to freeze it, to do things like that. Now, my mother didn't do a whole lot of canning. Once I was born, she was in her older age and didn't really feel the need to can, but she grew up with canning. So I dehydrate. So these here are peppers, and I sealed them. You can seal them 2 ways. You can use an oxygen absorber, which will take the air out of your jars, or you can vacuum seal them. These were peppers that were wrinkly from the food truck that was given away, but I had to work on it right away. So once a month for about 3 to 4 days, I am extremely busy. I'm taking the food, working through the food, and preserving it and making it last me in here. The food truck was giving away noodles. Now they had assortment of noodles like this. It was all thrown together in bags. And so I put them out of the plastic bags into glass jars. Now in this room, it looks really bright. I have a light right behind me that I have on for filming, and I have my blinds open. But when I am not in this room, the blinds are closed, which are darkening blinds, and then I have no light, so it is pitch black in here. You can't see anything. And that's really what you want to do when you are having food preserved for more than a year. Somebody asked me recently, well, why do I have so much food? Am I a doomsday prepper? No, I'm not a doomsday prepper. I prep enough of food that will feed my family of 10 if times got bad. But I have the opportunity and the wonderful experience of taking food, showing videos on how you can correctly can food, freeze food, dehydrate food, and I can use it for my pantry. If I had to buy all this food, of course, there wouldn't be as much. Now, I do grow a lot of my own food, as you've seen in previous videos, but a big part of my canning now is the opportunity that I have. So Mylar bags in glass will take the oxygen out of it, and they will seal. So this is barley, and this will last many years because it is sealed. You can't have any kind of bugs in anything if there is no air in it, and there is no air in this because it's sealed. You never know what the food truck is going to deliver, and you never know what the food bank is going to deliver. So at a lot of times, the food truck will be food that was going to the food bank as well. So if a company like Kellogg's They will supply the food truck business, Blessings of Hope. They will provide them with 5 tractor trailer trucks of grains and cereal for the week. Then a lot of that food is the same type food that goes into the food banks. But when the food banks no longer are requesting any food, they don't need it for that week, then they still have leftover. So then Blessings of Hope takes that food, distributes it, packages it, does all kinds of things with it to get it out to other families. I live in a community where the food banks are plentiful and the food banks are overflowing with food. There are a lot of places like that, but then when you get to more, depends on where you live, you won't have that. It's just, it's what I call, how do I want to say it? It's what I call a famine to feast. So in some cities and in some states, it's a famine. You aren't seeing good quality food. You're not seeing any kind of produce. And then you have other states where you see lots of produce and lots of organic food and things like that. So it's all depending on your area. I did a video a couple years ago, and it's a highly recommended video, and it's a very successful video. I'm sharing with people how you can find a food pantry, you can find a food bank in your area. I go step by step. I found a state. It's not even my state. I think it was Texas. I typed in a city in Texas, and then it came out with all these food banks and a place how you can do it. If you're interested in wanting to know where you can find free food in your area, either based on the government or based on a church, I have that right up in here. So right here it is. If you want to click on it, if it's not right here, just wait a couple seconds and then it will come up. But I do have it at the end of my videos. At the end of each and every video of mine, there is a video that correlates with this video. It is a little picture. All you do is you take your mouse, click on that, and that will take you to the video I'm referring to. In the upcoming months and the year ahead, I have a lot of tutorial videos, but I don't go step by step because I already made that video. And I will always show you at the end of the video where you can see step-by-step tutorials on how to do things. My videos are teaching videos. It goes step by step. So you need to look at all of the information with this video that you're watching right now. There is links in my description box of future videos or videos that I posted. There's also cards at the end of this. There's also cards that go across the top of it. So you need to see my videos, not just as this video you're watching right now, but see my channel and my videos as a notebook. So there's a notebook of wealth of information, but you have to go beyond watching this video. You have to click on other things to see it. My goal of my channel and my life is to teach you many ways to do everyday things, maybe something that you never thought of before. And while I sit in this pantry that is very full, I feel very blessed. I feel very blessed in receiving the food, but also in the knowledge of what to do with it. I think now, ever since we've gone through what we've gone through here in the world the last 3 years, people are opening their eyes to preserving food, and they're opening their eyes to taking every little bit of food they have and not being wasteful with it. Because we can be the most wasteful when it comes to food and our money. And so if you learn to save your food and you learn to preserve it, you will have so much more food than you ever thought you would have. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow. Bye, everybody.